Hello and welcome back. My name is Brandon Watson. Today in this video we're going to be talking about Nndm. Now this will be a purely technical analysis video as always, so I'll be showing you in the charts the similarities between Nndm and a few other well-known stocks that have either made the pattern already or is currently making the pattern that Nndm is currently in. Now yesterday I talked about BNGO and why I don't believe in it, so let me clear something up. Not only am I a Scorpio, but my personality type is also as an INTJ. This not only means that I'm not afraid to tell you or myself the truth, but it also means that I love to do it. Now, as it was once stated, there is no one more hated than he who tells the truth, so let's go ahead and get started. Nndm, unlike BNGO as a ticker, I think actually has a chance of being somebody, and not just in 5 years, but relatively soon. How soon? I'm thinking within 2 weeks type of soon. Allow me to explain. You see, the stock market is ran by large institutes and firms who drive the price whichever way they feel that day due to the large amounts of capital they are working with compared to the peanuts we have in our accounts. I can slap a $10,000 position into the market and no one will ever notice my money coming into the stock. Other algorithms that are specifically created to notice this type of movement and take advantage of the influx of capital that just got thrown into the mix. These algorithms will then do what it can to shake people out so that it not only lowers their price quite dramatically, at which point they'll scoop up more shares, but lowers it so low and for so long that the new retailers that jump in initially due to hype are practically either washed out of their positions or nearly dead from the anxiety the large institutes have left in the wake of them trying to build up a position. So what does all this mean? Well, computer algorithms are created by people, and if the algorithm is good and set, then it will hardly need to be tweaked with in the future. So what these funds and institutes do when looking to place a large buy order is head to their program and tell it that they want to buy X amount of shares of Nndm at or around an average price over X amount of time, and they hit send. Then, each day as the price does its thing, the algorithm will then start to accumulate shares into a position for the buyer, but only according to the rules that were placed on the system. The algorithm isn't a human and won't just change its settings unless those changes were already programmed into it, at which point the rules are set. Unlike a human who can change his mind in a split second just because it feels like it. So again, what does all this mean? Well, if you've seen any of my past videos, then you would have seen me talk about DKNG and how DKNG is practically the poster child for this pattern. Why? Well, because DraftKings has already flushed out its pattern and continues to trend higher. You see, DKNG started out just like any other hype machine on YouTube and grew 160% in less than 2 months of its IPO. Then, at the top of its newfound success, Jim Cramer comes out and says, I don't even know what DKNG is or why it deserves to be this high, which then triggers a 40% retracement from its high at 44.79 back down to 27.54, where price finally found a bottom. It wasn't for another 2 months from the highs that DKNG finally started to trend out of its consolidation and break resistance 30 days later. This, of course, is due to the fact that DKNG had a large enough rally that the amount of demand was dying out on the initial rally. With less demand often comes more supply, which drops the price lower. As price came down, DKNG would have these violent swings inside each of its daily candles that would whipsaw regular retailers out of positions so regularly that these algorithms were doing an amazing job at accumulating the shares it was tasked with buying. Then all of a sudden when DKG has their earnings where the estimate was negative 0.153 and the actual was negative 0.55, we end the accumulation period and start a new trend. Now let's take a side-by-side comparison of DKNG and Nndm, and since DKNG immediately ran up from its IPO and Nndm has been out longer, we'll only focus on the important part, which is from the larger rally onwards, and you'll start to see the resemblance. Within 38 days of IPO, DKNG rallied 154%. From its highs on back 38 days, we can see Nndm rallied 177%. Not bad and nearly the same. Then we have a 22 to 25% drop before rallying back into resistance where price ultimately fails and retraces back down. For DKNG, price retraced 37% from the resistance. For Nndm, however, you can see that price has dropped by 62%. Why? Well, because DKNG's initial rally was back in April of last year. Do you know how much has changed since a year ago? A new president, oil wars, GameStop wars, even hedge funds are starting to get margin called. So, how are these large institutes going to make their money if new capital is messing with the system? Well, they're going to shake the fuck out of people, and they aren't going to stop until they've scared so many people that they now have an even better price than before. Only then, when so many people are crying on stock twits about their losses while looking for the next hyped up popular stock, will business continue on as usual and the trend can carry on. So, let's say that this pattern actually holds true and Nndm is headed the same way as DKNG. Assuming that Nndm plays out similarly, we might be able to expect Nndm to start to trend out of its consolidation here shortly. They have their earnings coming up next month on May 12th according to Thinkorswim, which may bring more volume leading up and into earnings, but don't expect anything to be certain. Plenty of well-known popular stocks are hyped up so much that people don't realize the risk involved until they're so caught up in their emotions that they allow a workhorse to happen to them. One thing is for certain, and that is that nothing is for certain. A CEO can pump you full of Photoshop glamorous photos while another one might not say anything at all. You can have an Elon Musk who posts up tweets just for fun. I know if I was him, I would be doing the same thing. Well, wait a minute, I did that with BNGO yesterday. Well, anyways, basically what I'm saying is that anything can happen. Don't get attached just because you saw a pretty post full of numbers and pictures. Will this DKNG pattern start to play out for Nndm? Well, maybe. One thing is for sure, and that is that neither you nor I know what is going to happen next. We can plan for a potential possibility, but to say BNGO to the moon every day is pretty ridiculous when BNGO has been coming down every day. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this pattern. Is it real or fake? Are institutes shaking out people more so than before? And if so, are they relying on a computer algorithm to do it? Shoot me your thoughts below. I hope you all take care and have a great weekend.